Hey, so the topic that me and Jalia have decided to talk about for our presentation is spanking. I personally chose spanking because it's always been something that has, been with me while growing up. It was definitely used as a punishment for me and my sisters if we didn't act right. The only thing about spanking is that I don't like how it's considered a corporal punishment, just because it's not abusive unless it gets out of hand, or it's not done responsibly or accordingly, which that's the only way that I wouldn't agree with it if it's not done in those manners. Anyways, spanking has always been a hot topic of discussion for many parents, and even though I'm not a parent, I'm not a parent, but I do know that spanking is, okay to punish kids with spanking, but other forms of punishment, for a kid or me, especially for me and my sisters while growing up, would be, taking phones away, laptops, our iPads or whatever, while growing up, and maybe sometimes we wouldn't even be able to go hang out with our friends, and obviously we didn't like that, but we knew why we were being punished, but the spanking only made us stronger. It made us, it kind of whipped us up and whipped us into the shape, and it honestly all depends on the child as well, because, sometimes spanking doesn't, sometimes spanking doesn't help, sometimes it does help. It just all depends on the child too, but overall, I'm all for spanking as long as it's done in a responsible and according way, and I am for spanking as long as it doesn't harm the child.
Debating on the against side of spanking, working in a Title I school and having a lot of students that are abused, or the only form of replication they know is violence. It does not help them with other people trying to just verbally say what they did wrong. They feel like they need to be hit in order to understand that what they're doing is wrong, and that is the only form of consequence they know. Those students later on grow up to be violent kids themselves. They grow up to want to do that to their children and possibly even spouses. Spanking can lead to a lot of violence later on in life, and it's just not the best way to necessarily get their point across. I feel like there are a whole bunch of other great reasons and great attributes to get a point across versus either physically laying a hand on a child or using a belt or a spoon or anything else that people use to spank their children. So I think that we really need to look at other alternatives for that.
So the side that I have chosen to take for this presentation is I am for spanking. I'm for spanking just because of personal beliefs and, experiences while growing up. So I've chosen to be on the side for spanking rather than against. I don't think spanking is as terrible as people make it out to be, as long as it's done, in a safe manner. The only way that I wouldn't agree with it is, if it's not done in a safe and responsible manner, which I know in a lot of cases, that happens. But other than that, I am for spanking 100%. Parents different, and so I don't think that we should judge people who do spank their kids. Like I said, as long as they're not harming the child, we should just be there to support them, and it's okay to not agree with their child, with their form of punishment, just as long as it's not harming the kid. Then we should just support one another. I know, like I said before, I'm not a parent, but if I was, I don't think spanking would be bad. Spanking should be, last resort though. Try other, options, taking the TV away, phone, not being allowed to go hang with friends. But, if spanking is first resort, it's not a big deal. Like I said, as long as it's done in a proper way. But yeah, you know, everyone has their own, you know, views and everything on spanking, but at the end of the day, as long as we are there to support one another and no one is being harmed, then spanking in my eyes will always be okay.
For Title I kids and others, just other families that don't buy their kids a whole bunch of toys or a whole bunch of electronics or phones until they get older, and violence is the only way that they know to, or spanking is the only way they know to punish their children for something that they did wrong. You have listed that spanking is okay and listed that taking things away is okay. However, like I just said, some don't have that. Is there any other way that you can get them their punishment without having to spank? Because I feel like if they don't have anything get taken away and they're just getting hit, like, they're gonna do that onto their own kids or onto their spouses or onto friends if they make them mad or if they do something that they didn't like. They're just gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna hit you, like, I'm not gonna take away your stuff, I'm just gonna hit you. And so I feel like that's not necessarily right. I'm trying to do more of a positive reaffirmment and be like, okay, this was not right, we could have done this instead of just taking stuff away, because I feel like that could also lead to anger issues when they get older.
So at the end of the day, I am for spanking, and you know, I don't think spanking is as bad as everybody makes it out to be. As long as, you know, like I previously stated, and it'll never change, you know, as long as it's done in the most responsible and safe way, then, you know, why not? You know, I'm all for it. If it's the opposite from that, you know, where it's not done in that manner, then that's the only way that I will not agree with it. But overall, I am for spanking, and, you know, spanking is not terrible. I think spanking should be, you know, I don't think it should be miserable for the kid when they are spanked. I think it should be considered a, you know, a valuable lesson, you know, like it was for me and my sister while growing up. You know, we learned from that, and, you know, it whipped us into shape and made us behave, you know, a lot better. So I just think that it should be, you know, considered more of a lesson, you know, for the child instead of, you know, a punishment or, you know, miserable. You know, because spanking will always be around for, you know, generations. You know, it'll always be around, you know, forever. And so I just don't think that, you know, people should, you know, be too hard on people that, you know, punish their kids by spanking, as long as, you know, the child is not harmed. But, you know, there's a lot of kids, you know, that have been spanked and turn out just fine, that, you know, like me and my sisters. So as long as it's done in that manner, and, you know, a lesson, you know, to like whip us into shape and behave better, then spanking is okay. And you know, spanking, you know, nobody ever wants to talk about it, you know, but, you know, who does? But, you know, sometimes, you know, we all have to talk about certain topics that, you know, that we don't want to talk about. But spanking will always be around, you know, forever, no matter if we like it or not. But you know, at the end of the day, I am for spanking, and as long as it's done in the most healthy and safe way for everyone involved.
Finally, I think that we should have more inset ways of, like, just letting this children know, like, that this is not right. For example, if a child steals money from their parents' wallet, I think that a parent should be like, okay, let me sit down, let me talk to you why this was wrong, let me tell you exactly what you can do differently. You can come to me and you can talk to me about, oh, I needed money or anything, and I will try to help you as best as I can, or we can find you the help that we can. But I ultimately do not think that spanking is exactly what we need to do in order to put our point across that what you did was wrong. I think that we can verbally communicate, and I think that that will help with very strong youth leaders in the future. Thank you.